individuals of all ages, welcome back to another wonderful expansion of the Wildcast. Ooh, in person again.
Finally.
Yes.
Editor Mia wants to apologize for the delay on the last one.
Editor Mia's apology is going to be located right here.
Editor Mia wants to cry over it. Anyways, folks, we don't have a show until April 5th. And that's going to be our first round of playoffs. Ooh. So with playoffs, it's going to be a longer day. If you make it through, you're going to play 2 shows in that day. And then the following week, April 12th, is going to be our championships. Ooh. There's going to be awards, a coach's show, all-star show, and the head-to-head between the top 2 teams. So you don't want to miss that.
No, yeah, it's going to be super action-packed those 2 weeks, so we highly recommend bringing as many people as you can. It is going to be super entertaining. There will be judges for all of the shows as well. So audience approval does matter in the sense where we love seeing your families and your wonderful, happy little faces, but there will be judges, official people going how they felt about said games. So please come by and perform and be there for your team because they want your support.
And be there for your friends on other teams.
Yeah, because they also want your support.
Improv is the friendship we made along the way.
It's coming true. The premonition.
Premonition too hard, man.
Okay.
Cool. We started off with Del Sol versus LVA.
Ooh.
Long-time standing rivalry. Not actually, but, you know, the 2 performing arts schools, they have a rivalry.
They do?
They do. This is a real
forced
thing.
rivalry?
It's real in the sense of, like, people who are super into it, and then everyone else is like, we're just a high school, man. Let's relax.
Okay, there was a Cotton Eye Joe square dance to start off this show.
Yes.
For the coin toss, and it was pretty awesome between Leora and Taki. I forgot what they were specifically supposed to do, but I heard Cotton Eye Joe, and I got really happy.
I don't remember, but yeah.
All I remember is was the first thing that happened, and it made me super happy and giddy.
It was a very good, just like, oh, there's the energy for the day. Like, bam. It was great.
We had a town hall meeting, and I believe the topic at hand was goldfish.
Yes.
And Rain, one of the performers for Del Sol, he was, I feel like I think he was Batman.
They were Batman.
And all his entire point was, I've loved goldfish since I was a little boy. That is all. And then he sat back down.
It was so funny. Me and Sean were the mayors for this, so it was just kind of fun, like, looking out in the audience and seeing, like, everyone was sitting physically different, which I also just want to point out was super fun, because even when they weren't talking, they were still, like, kind of sitting like they were in character, and I appreciate small details like that a lot.
Yeah, that it's an entirely character-based game, and if your character can just sit or even, like, make commotion in a specific way, you're already performing the game at its highest level. So
True.
Always be doing that stuff. Continuing with this show, we had a inner monologue from Del Sol that was so the suggestion was based off of a DMV sitcom. They started by trying to take one of those awkward license picks between Allie and Taki.
Yeah.
I like any time a scene starts with like a very expressive start. So like it was already like, and the other one was, perfect way to start a scene. We're already establishing a lot. I'm assuming you had some stuff on this.
I just like the variety in the inner monologues with everyone in this. If you were there to watch it, it's just you have Allie going on a long tangent. Then Taki, who kind of gives her 2 cents in every once in a while. And then you get to Rain, who's just like, and then just says one word or one line, and they go back, and I'm like, that's hysterical to me.
Yeah, there was one inner monologue I took note of, which was Taki's, where Taki goes, and then it's inner monologue, and Taki goes, and then just went back. So I guess that is quite literally all that was on Taki's mind in that moment. Rain was cooking a lot in this show with a lot of fun little lines. One of them being how he entered that scene. How they entered the scene was going to be just the fact that it was a I think it was like something about a teenage problem, and then Rain enters as what I'm apparently assuming is a random teenager and goes, "And my teenage problem." And it was just so awkward.
But I loved it so much because it was just the full commitment to it, and then Taki and Allie just fully accepting, like, yeah, hey, bro. I thought that was really good.
LVA had a what? I can't remember if Eddie started the scene. I think Eddie started the scene with Leora, and they spent like the first like 10, 12 seconds of the scene just creepily like going around them and never actually saying anything, just like in silence. And then and goes, "I'm your 19th or I'm here for your date," and with Leora responding, "One of my 18 first dates."
The topic was Adam Sandler, for context for this.
Yes.
Adam Sandler was
I didn't
the
clarify
topic.
that very well. I'm secretly out of breath.
For context, Gio did run clear across UNLV campus to get over here.
There was so much traffic.
Very much. March Madness and the rain. Yeah. Anyways, with what I also just Eddie did this really funny thing where Roman kept wanting their entrance, and they like crawled over the chairs and hopped over it, and I was like, oh my god, please don't hurt yourself. But it was also so funny to me.
What other games were in this show?
Six Things.
Six Things. How was there Six Things?
Were you backstage during this?
I did have to go backstage.
Cool.
So
Six Things. I just want to praise, because, guys, you took a lot of notes that we keep talking about, which was gibbering more, being more physical, and, like, filling that silence for the most part. So I need you to know, their topics were, LVA was washing a car, and Doso was playing poker. Which was crazy. And one of the ones for LVA was the car, I think. Or, no, the sponge was Fetch Rough Man. The PBS show?
I have never watched Fetch Rough Man.
Fetch with Rough Man, I think is what it was called. And poor, the two mimers were like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah, that sounds like Roman was giving the suggestion.
It was so good. There was also just this really funny part where Delso was trying to get them to get Small World. Neither Taki or Rain have been on Small World, as I have learned, because they kept miming it like it's a log flume ride.
I wouldn't have figured that out either.
Because they were like, hoopah, shoo, shoo, and I was like, that's not Small World. Where's the jingle? All you gotta do is the jingle. And there's just one part where Rain was just whistling and then got really frustrated because Allie wasn't getting it and just aggressively yelled splash, and then they switched, and I was like, that's crazy. LVA did a really good job of just breaking down words also, which I just want to praise. That was super, super funny. Leora at one point was like, I guess we're going back to square one, because she couldn't get what they were doing, and I was like, that's so funny. Yeah, and then that's the last game they ended on was Meanwhile. Their topic was grandparent trap instead of the parent trap.
Okay.
There's not a lot of notes there. It was a really solid game. There was just one part where they're like, we gotta kidnap the cat, but that's our cat. Well, let's put him on the street. Cheese Puff can survive on his own, and I was like, oh, that's so sad.
Cheese Puff.
Yeah. It was good, and it kept devolving, which it tends to happen in Meanwhile, but it was just really good. Thumbs up across the board for this game.
Okay, next show, we're going to look into Ekta versus Clark. Ooh.
Jacob had to describe what Skibbity Toilet was.
Yes, I have the same note.
And I giggled so hard because he's like, yeah, Skibbity Toilet. It's kind of like One Piece. And I'm like, what a crazy comparison.
He mentioned that it has 1,000 episodes, and that's why it's like One Piece.
I just like that. I thought that was so funny.
Their first game was a 9 out of 10 that I got to witness that I really liked. Let's see what we had in here. I had one of them being, so Jacob comes in and he goes, 2016 was the year my son died. So that Jacob comes up. Keep in mind, Jacob's a freshman, so that makes it even funnier. And then instantly within like probably, 35 seconds, Malaya comes out as Jacob's deceased son, back from hiding, I suppose, because he confirmed never dead.
Yeah.
And then we got a family reunion, which was really nice. Did you have some notes specifically you wanted to point out?
I just have a line, and I can't remember the context of it, of, well, obviously, and then there was like a pause, in the CIA. And I'm like, why are we talking about the CIA? Not in a
Yes.
bad way, obviously. I just thought it was funny.
I have the same note, and I cannot remember the context. But all I know is in the CIA was funny. And I think it came from Yessie. So, good job, Yessie, with that line.
Then they move on with Ekta in interrogation. Are you okay?
Sorry, I'm reading their suggestions for it. Crime was left the fridge running. Accomplice was King Julian. And location was McDonald's in Sacramento. So Zoe was the guesser for Ekta. And Zoe had huge energy as a guesser, albeit being very confused because of, if you watched it, it makes perfect sense how Zoe might have been pretty confused. Alejandro and Malaya were leading the way, and they were really funny. The way they tried to get across King Julian, one of the lines I had from Malaya was, he likes to move a lot. And eventually they got to the point where they had to clarify that he likes to move it. It was so good watching it. We got the real struggle for this game was just Zoe couldn't figure out Sacramento just off of not knowing enough about California. So they kept trying to clarify the capital of California, to which Zoe would go, Los Angeles, San Diego? I only know those two.
Oh, it was so good.
That was the show where I think I had to hit my manto,
Yeah, you did.
as seen on Instagram story.
Hey, it is on the stories.
Yeah, so I had to hit my manto, and then we were able to figure it out.
There was also just really funny with Malaya and Alejandro. Their way of clue giving was just gaslighting, and
Yeah.
I thought that was
Yeah.
so funny.
Yeah, they didn't have super high energy, but everything they said was hilarious the entire time. So they didn't do like a good cop, bad cop energy. They were just two gaslighting cops who were just trying to force a confession out of Zoe.
It's so good. There's also just this one line before we move on where I can't remember who said this. I think it was Alejandro. No, it was Malaya. It was one of you, and I'm bad with memory. Just going, the kitchen is one of the most sacred places with like full seriousness, and I'm like, that's crazy. That was really good. Good job.
They got to play a very original game in this show that I wondered if I think I had to leave midway through, and I was really enjoying it too. They got to play Switch Advice Panel. Do you have notes from this game?
I love Advice Panel Switch. This is a comedy sports game, which I don't know how they found it, but like win. I love this game. First of all, I just thought I need to say this as a chronically online person. The joke about Edwin from that stupid FNAF meme made me laugh so incredibly hard. So, so props to you, Jacob, for that.
That's who Edwin was?
Edwin,
I was so curious. I was like, what a goofy character for a name.
it's because there's a meme about FNAF where it's like this guy named Edwin made the Mimic, but there's this really crappy song that came out that like the character Edwin's in. Oh, yeah. It's good. But one thing I want to say with Advice Panel Switch, the thing that makes this game super strong is having super strong, distinct characters between all three people, which they did. So when they switched, it's like they're kind of like making fun of each other's characters in a way.
Yes.
So the three characters were Edwin, the guy who made the Mimic, and then you have Emma with Princess Diamond, who's just this really like prissy like princess character, and then you have the man in the yellow hat from Curious George, who is a weirdly popular character this year because he's come up at least 3 times in 3 separate shows.
Curious George is back.
I
don't
see
know what
that.
he did, but he's back.
He's so back. The only thing I think is that made this really funny, or English. There's this line where I think it was whoever switched into Princess Diamond's place just said, "There's this little place called California," and I was like, this is ridiculous and so silly. Yeah, and they also did this really interesting thing where they had good advice, bad advice, okay advice, even with their exaggerated characters, which I just wanted to give props for that as well.
Yes, your line on California, Princess Diamond was making fun of the last game because they had been from Sacramento, California.
Oh, shout out Emma.
Shout out Emma.
Yeah.
Good Oasis.
Super good. And then they move on to Tag Out.
Okay. I was still in the back for the rest of the show.
Cool.
I must clarify.
So Tag Out somehow devolved from a train heist to being on the Polar Express to elves unionizing.
Nice.
That is the progression of this scene.
Go Elf Union.
I just remember one of them, I think it was Yessie coming out and going, I'm one of the elves that works for Santa. Please save me. And I was like, oh no.
That sounds accurate too. It's one of those things where you're like, do they ever pass away, or have they been doing this for the past like 500 years? You know what I mean?
I think the implication here was that they were doing this for the past 500 years. And I just thought it was really good because there's a lot of just really funny bits about like them being on top of the train and then getting inside the train. There was like a weird middle bit that I can't remember off the top of my head.
Mm-hmm.
And then it moves into Polar Express. It was really good. I liked it a lot. Just
Awesome.
a good job across the board.
Awesome.
And then he had What Are You Doing?
Do we want to talk about What Are You Doing? We have
It's
some really
just
good bits.
one quick note I need to
Okay.
give on it. If you're ever challenged to play What Are You Doing, or if you ever need to play What Are You Doing, or whatever, make sure you're going quick. Because it's the same thing we say about miming, we say about here, where silence is really awkward in this game. Where even if you're like, I don't have a really good idea, just saying something and committing to it is the best thing you can do. And then also, like, when you're giving that first line of dialogue, so, like, let's say the line was AM, it's like, I'm accentuating monkeys. You want to jump into, like, that...
Accentuated.
Yeah. You want to jump into, like, the accentuating first. Like, you hear that first line, just jump into it, and then you hear the second line and then incorporate it.
Yeah.
It's a lot more visually interesting rather than just staring awkwardly and standing there and just being like...
Yeah.
And then you jump into it.
Basically, as soon as you're given everything, just start doing it. Don't even hesitate. Just go for it the moment it pops up.
Here's the big shout out I will give. Malaya and Yessie were just given the letter T. That's it. Just the letter T.
That's what happens when I leave Roman.
Okay. Wecta and Secta.
West Career Technical Academy, I think, as they insist on being called sometimes. I can see that I was busy for a lot of this show because I'm looking at the notes, and this is definitely Roman's handwriting.
Oh yeah, I was standing next to Roman while this was happening.
Yes. Okay, cool. Our first game was Town Hall that we started with in this show.
Yes.
West Tech has been hammering the Town Hall bell this
They
year.
love Town Hall.
I don't blame them, though. They like having character games, and I think it is their way of getting a character game out, and they probably do a lot of practice with Town Hall. I'm going off of that because I've been to a West Tech practice before, and they have like 400 kids sitting in a classroom. So it makes sense that they would whip out the town halls as much as they can. They've been hammering it, and I'm assuming it was a good show. Their town halls have been really solid this year, and Secta has been a super solid team, especially with a mix that Secta has of Matilda and Taki for this show. It is going to be absurdity at its finest.
It was so funny. First of all, I love when people banter in Town Hall, and this one had a lot of banter as well. Because you had Matilda yelling at people going, that's not true! And I was like, this is great. And then you had,
I realize why my notes aren't there. I was the
You
mayor.
were the mayor, yeah.
That makes sense.
and you had Roman and, oh my gosh, what's their name? What is their name? Josiah, I think?
Josiah, yes.
It was Roman and Josiah going back and forth about, like, being on the eastern technical part of the, the ship and the northwest technical part of the ship. And I was like, hey, shout out Northwest.
Yes.
Please come back,
It's because
Northwest.
there's this bit I like to do when I'm playing Town Hall. I've eventually gotten to the point where I've given up on being a town, and I'm just like, let me just throw them the weird bone of being on, like, a spaceship or, like, in the post-apocalypse, and let's see where they go with it. And we did that, and they did well with it. At one point, it was funny, too. I forgot who it was, but they said, people of Valley High School.
It was Doc.
And I had to clarify that we are the SS Valley High School.
It was very funny.
It was so good. Roman's notes say Roman, in parentheses, not me. Continued space station bit / dead grandma.
I also just want to point out, the characters of this were Timothée Chalamet, a man who had an alien noodle baby,
Yeah.
normal people and a scientist.
Yes, and there was sastonium in this. I do remember hearing that. I forgot who established that sastonium is going around the ship, but it very much was a killer case of sastonium.
It was very fun. I also just want Taki also just said this stupid line of, before I was bald with a receding hairline and then looked at Geo, and I was like, that was diabolical.
Yeah, no, Taki was so evil
I
this
was
week.
like, Taki!
Taki spent the entirety of this week finding ways to try to make fun of me, and it was insane. I was like, I am not balding,
I was like,
to any degree.
You in
that's hard
fact
enough
have
for
a
that.
full head of hair. That's crazy. Okay, moving on, we had Evil Twin.
Ooh.
Were you out of the room during this?
Considering what the notes look like, yes.
Is this still Roman?
I think so. Yes, definitely, because I could tell by the format of the notes. Cool. Evil Twin. What we had was good use of space by West Tech. So I'm assuming they were moving around a lot on stage, which is tends to be big. Alex.
Oh, let me give you context of what this scene was.
Okay.
West Tech scene was before prom. It was prom, and it was them going on a date to a Taco Bell before going to prom.
Okay.
So that's your context. One of them had a heart attack by the end.
See, it's moments like this I wish Roman's notes didn't just say Evil Twin West Tech like 6 times straight. It just says Evil Twin West Tech, Evil Twin West Tech, Evil Twin West Tech, Evil Twin West Tech.
I'm all alone in the Taco Bell.
And then I'm all alone at Taco Bell.
And then no one will hear you scream. Those are the notes.
Overall though, from what I can say, Josiah and Alex tend to both be very, very funny.
They were cooking with it.
They are both very, very funny as performers. They're absolute like joke hitters where like their scenes will have absolute just funny moments because both of them have a capability to be able to just throw out these jokes. So them mixing with Roman, not knowing who is the evil twin and who's not, I could just imagine though how weird of a mix that is between the three of them.
It was Roman and Alex who were the good and evil twins.
Okay.
So you could imagine, like, Alex is, like, super animated. Here's the good twin. We're gonna go on this date to a Taco Bell. Roman walks in. I hate you. You look ugly. I'm gonna spill this, like, just straight, just saying, like, the most heinous thing you can imagine. And I'm like,
that's such
dang.
a juxtaposition, too.
Yeah.
Because I know how Alex gets in scenes. He's very animated with a lot of his characters.
He's like a mini you.
Yeah, he's very like, oh, that's okay, guys. He has his hands are up a lot.
Yeah.
If I was doing a Pavlov with Alex, I'm gonna make it that whenever his hands go up, most likely. So Alex, credit there for being the good twin, and then credit to Roman for being that evil self that you have locked, hidden away.
I just needed to know that I did not write a lot of notes in this. I wrote just so many quotes from this because there was just one note where Josiah goes, "What in the holy guacamole is going on here?" And I'm like, what's happening?
Josiah as what the quote unquote what is considered the straight man character. That is funny because he knows how to fit into that role super well.
I need to also be known at one point I think he has like an allergic reaction at the Taco Bell and collapses and starts having a heart attack. And Josiah, as the good twin, is off to the side, looking at the audience, just monologuing all the way through. And then they switch to the evil twin, and Roman just walks over, looks down, and goes, "No one will hear you scream." And the scene ends, and I'm like, that was crazy.
Okay, let's get into their forward reverse real quick, and then I don't know if you have more from the show, but I'm assuming forward reverse is where we might really go for it.
Okay. Their suggestion was Mario and Sonic at the Olympics. Starting off with Doc and... oh god, who was playing with Doc?
There's
Taki. There's Taki and Doc.
Okay.
Taki and Doc start the scene out. So they establish... they're like, what was it? Sonic, we don't have to do this. And it's just this weird romantic tension where it's like, my wife, Sonic, we shouldn't be fighting like this at the Olympics. And Taki, bless Taki, is just trying to hold this scene together because Doc and Matilda were getting lost on the forward reverses. So there's this line where it just kept evolving, and by the very end, Doc looks at Matilda, who is Tails, and goes, Tails, you gotta help me. We owe money to the Mafia. The Mafia was not mentioned at all in the first part of this scene. We were in reverse also at this point, too, where this wasn't mentioned.
That sounds accurate for a Doc scene.
And I'm like, I think I'm sitting next to, who am I, Izzy or Sean? I don't know who I'm sitting next to at this point, but we're laughing so hard at whatever was going on.
I like to think the forward reverses are in Taki's character's head and is freaking out.
Taki literally was like keeping all of her lines the same. I need that to be known. Where Doc and Matilda are like, we owe money to the Mafia. Sonic, you can't do this. We love each other. It's like, and Matilda's like, guys, I don't know what's going on. I'm just like, this is ridiculous. Great energy though.
That sounds accurate. That. I can't give a bigger sales pitch for a show that involves Doc and Matilda quite like they are. I don't even know how to explain it. You're laughing is what matters, and you don't even understand what's going on. All you know is that you are laughing really hard. Okay, cool. Let's get into the next game because we have plenty of time left.
Yeah, we do. We're skipping hijinks.
Do you want to go into hijinks real quick?
TLDR. There was a lot of teeth that happened in this scene. Pickleball was the second suggestion for this, and Roman confidently goes, I'm John Pickle. Josiah and Alex were playing pickleball, and then they started fighting, and then the replay was somehow about Cobra Kai and Karate Kid. Yeah. That's my summary for hijinks.
Yes. Into our next show, Valley, Sierra Vista.
I got on stage for this one.
Oh, you did?
I was in dating app for this.
It's true.
And then these are all Blaze's notes.
Okay, so we started off with a dating app. Griffin had one of the bits that I found really funny, which was, have you listened to my mixtape? It's unreleased.
I thought that was so good.
Christian did an opera of some sort is one of my notes. I also had, so Kai had a character that rolled a nat 40 for charisma and got to stick around because of this nat 40. I think then you guys, what?
Oh, so Kai came in first as just saying, what? And it was just me going, okay, I'm just going to commit to this bit. And then I kept getting whatted by Kai's character. And eventually me and Blaze, they said what one more time, and I ran down and me and Blaze tagged out.
That's true.
So Blaze tagged in for me.
That's true.
And then we continued. So we had this switcheroo because I was like, this is fun. I'm going to switch with Blaze because I think that's a really funny bit just to do right here.
I think Martin over at Valley, he had a character that I found really funny. He was just a super slow walking old man. and then he proceeded to get kicked off the stage and walk just as slowly back to the thing. I don't think he said anything. I think he literally just...
And then he got swiped on, yeah.
Yeah.
There was also just this one where I forgot which person was like, I'm going to sing you Beethoven's 8th. And then Blaze goes, do you know Beethoven's 9th? And he goes, Beethoven's 9th. And I'm like, yeah, perfect. That's exactly what we want to see there.
The next game in this show was Foursquare. Christian, Martin, and Cameron combined pretty well in this game with a lot of Martin was making a bunch of Doug jokes and Christian was very into the time. I forgot what it was. Oh, it was 4 a.m. and 4 p.m.
with Roman in here in this one.
Yes, in the mix was one of the scenes. And Christian goes, hey, 4 a.m., why don't you go away?
I loved it so much. The Doug bit made me giggle a lot.
Oh, these are all my Doug lines
Go
from
ahead.
Martin. We have, what are you doing? That looks Doug-tastic.
Yep.
These Doug Nanas. Velociraptor from Christian in response to these Doug Nanas.
Oh, I love these Doug Nanas.
Who the Doug is this guy over here? And then, I don't really feel Doug safe right now.
They were so good. Also, Cameron and Roman had this stupid scene about being in Star Wars.
Yes.
Which is just Cameron not knowing what's anything about Star Wars from what I understood about what I was watching. And Roman going, I love Andor. Andor's great.
Oh, they were in that planet. Yes, they were on Andor.
I need to also be known. Andor is a person, not a planet.
Oh. I only played the Lego games.
So Andor's a great series. It's a great series. Anyways, there's just this one part where both Cameron and Roman are standing completely still. And Roman goes, "Oh no, they're putting me on a spit. They're putting me on a spit. I'm on a spit. Can you help me get off this spit?" They're standing completely still.
Yeah.
They are standing still. But Roman is just describing the events they are going through.
It was like watching a podcast. But like there wasn't supposed to be a video. It was hilarious watching their combination, especially as Cameron's like, "Huh? What do you mean?" He's so confused. As Roman just continues to point out all these absurd things that are going on, and Cameron is so lost.
It's so good.
Yeah, no, the dugging in that scene was so funny.
Also with the 4 a.m., 4 p.m. thing, there's just this part where Roman goes, "Good morning. Don't ever say that to me again." Good morning. I was like, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, this was probably my favorite like specific game from Valley this entire year. I think their Foursquare was just so good. They bounced off of each other super well. And I have a bias because when you can rule of threes me into just loving something that you're saying, I am gonna have an absolute love for it.
So true.
The dugging got me hard.
Love dugging.
That's what happens when you ask people who the Doug is that.
And then we got inner monologue. Were you backstage during this, or were you here?
I had some.
Sweet. Okay.
So, in the inner monologue, Griffin out the gate hits it with a, "I'm a secret agent." And it's always good when you instantly establish that you are not the person you are on stage. Because now we instantly have those stakes. We instantly got things. Oh, and we absolutely trolled Zoe in this show. I forgot. Zoe's inner monologue went, "Damn it." To which Roman was like, "Well, I guess there's a first time for everything," and just kind of put a potty mouth on. And I was like, I would question it, but it's good for the picture.
I was gonna say, I also need to be known. Hell was said once before in another show.
Yeah, well,
there's a first time for everything.
All I'm saying is, if I had the choice between being put on roasted fire spits in an underground world, or a bunch of beavers making sticks together, a dam, then
ridiculous.
The beavers are worse.
Yeah.
So yeah. Man, it was a funny game.
These were really good inner monologues.
It was also because that team was mixed so weirdly with Griffin, Kai, and Zoe, who have all, I think, never played together. So they came together.
But
really
they meshed really well.
Yeah.
Watching that was really funny because I really like that we started with that FBI agent bit and then they kept building off of it. Because initially it was just like Comic-Con, we're buying this comic at this convention. And it's like, this comic has the secret code for winning whatever this conspiracy thing is. And it was really funny because you had Kai being the straight man in this being like, "I'm just trying to buy a comic, guys." And then the little brother who's like, "Oh, I'm secretly this person that they're going after." What were they named? Stilts? Someone was named Stilts in this also.
Someone was named Stilts?
Stilts.
I did not have that note.
Someone was named Stilts. And I was like, that's really funny. And then eventually, one thing I liked about this is that the inner monologues were actually revealed in the scene. Because that doesn't happen sometimes. We just hear it and then it's like, oh, that's funny. But in this, it's like, "Stop, I know you're my old ex-partner from the FBI." And I thought that was just a really like fun way to close the scene all the way around.
Okay, super fast. Let's get into this replay.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah. Griffin was, so they had a Broadway musical suggestion over for Sierra Vista into their replay. And I laughed because Griffin didn't start off the scene. The other two did. And it was very, very chill. And then suddenly Griffin came in singing and like putting his heart out. And I was like, that's so funny how like it was, I almost forgot it was Broadway musical.
Yeah.
Until he came in, but then that made then Zoe opened up, and then we kind of had like a give and take singing bit, which was really nice. If you ever get hit with a weird musical suggestion, just go for it.
It's true.
The best thing you can do is be confident. Everyone secretly has a singing voice, whether they realize it or not. I learned that once from Coach Romeo over at ECTA. So just go for it, and you'll be able to kind of do something. So yeah. Overall, I also have a quote from this game. I didn't see the setup scene, I should clarify, but I have a quote from this game that goes, I got my degree from 7-Eleven.
Oh yeah, because they were in couples therapy and the guy was from 7-Eleven or something. And also there was just this recurring bit of a crisp can of Dr. Pepper.
That's true. I did remember that. Okay, yes.
Yeah, there was just a very consistent through line of that. Final game in this was Machines. Not much to say on Machines. It was solid. The only thing I'm going to say is if you're ever playing Machines, play with your levels.
Yes.
Don't be in a straight line. Move.
This is true.
Who wrote I Hate Nibbles?
So, our last show of the day was the Wildcard show, which had secret fourth members. So we had Enrique, Roman, Isaiah, and I versus Ali, Malaya, Blaze, and Griffin. Griffin, massive credit. You were in the show before this. I asked you, right when you left, you want to be in the Wildcard show? He said, yeah. He didn't even know what games he was playing, and then we threw him up. Okay, do you have notes from this show?
I Could Do That Better was really good. There was just one line where it's like, hey, Samantha, Mom. And I thought that was really funny. Allie almost going into IR, doing a death drop.
Yeah, Allie's going to end up in IR again. Another game
Oh, Enrique went up to the booth in this game.
Yes, Enrique ran all the way up to the booth because I think what they were able to do better is be in the booth, like as opposed to Isaiah. And if you know Enrique as a performer...
Sean.
Instead of Sean,
yeah.
Yes, because Isaiah was on stage with us. Enrique absolutely, any excuse Enrique has to just chill out in a game, Enrique will take. So becoming in the booth was absolutely hilarious. Also, we all became different versions of Isaiah during this game as well.
I did
and Isaiah
watch
was
that.
like, man, all I was told is that I have cool hair and tattoos.
Which... Factual.
You have really good tattoos and great hair, Isaiah. I don't think you'll watch this, but if you do, I'm really happy. Okay,
Next,
cool.
Fortune Teller.
Fortune Teller was absolutely insane.
You guys were doing the miming in this. I thought the miming was excellent. The only thing I wrote was like, please break down and just get the tiger.
Yeah,
You just needed that tiger part. Context. It was Calvin and Hobbes was one of the suggestions, with Enrique and Roman being the fortune teller and fortune tellee. Roman's character in this made me laugh. They were just like, my wife's dead. I was like, oh, okay. And then Roman in the middle just has this random line going, Clark was the name of my dead wife. But somehow that was part of the guess. Was one of the guesses in this game was Clark's advice panel from earlier in the day.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, no.
Which they did get.
Which is why anyone who saw the preseason, the one note on this page from Roman is I hate Nibbles, because we got a quick glimpse of that character again. I think I made eye contact with Mia while being that character, and Mia got a little scared.
No, because you understand, I'm sitting here writing my notes, I look up, and you're just like intensely staring into my soul, and I'm like... And then I wrote the note, why did you make eye contact with me as gibberish Nibbles Geo?
I don't know what people are talking about by this Nibbles thing. I keep hearing it, but I still have yet to see what anyone is talking about.
Yeah. Pavlov.
Yes, Pavlov. It was insane. Per usual for a Pavlov. I think Griffin never even got his bit because I think his was like someone's hands have to go up, and it just never happened. Overall though, I thought this game was funny. I can't even remember some of the bits, but I remember
Blaze's ailment for the show was throwing things.
Yes.
So Blaze through this was throwing a party.
Yeah, and throughout the entire show, they were throwing a party in the game. They were throwing things all show. Overall, you had to be there. I think it was a great wildcard show.
Radio was really good. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. We gotta stop.
Super, super amazing. So overall, if you caught anything from this show, what I want you to know is go to playoffs, go to championship, be hyped, be square, and live forever.
Oh.